Hey guys, you're watching another episode of the News with Jay, and today I have for you the top 10 elite counter-terrorism units from around the world. Now, these units are being ranked based on their training, their selection process, how badass they are, and the operations they have conducted in the past. I'm going to try and remain as unbiased as possible, but that doesn't always work. However, as I said, I'll try my best. So to begin, coming in at number 10, the Norwegian Jäger Commando unit, and I realized I probably did mispronounce that. Very little is known about the Jäger Commandos except that all candidates take basic medics and sniper training, and that training is long and rigorous, lasting up to 2 years. However, the final test to become a Jäger Commando is known to be a 36-hour march or hike using 70 to 90 pound rucksacks in which you're being hunted by police canine units and the army. Once caught, Jäger Commandos are taken to interrogation to take basic interrogation survival training. The primary weapon of the Jäger Commandos is the Colt Canada C8 carbine, which is the Canadian variant of the M4 carbine. They also use the P90 personal defense weapon, the MP5 submachine gun, and the Sig Sauer P220 pistols. Coming in at number 9 is Israel's Shayetet 13. Training for Shayetet 13 is long and extensive. All candidates undergo 20 months of training, which includes basic and advanced infantry tactics, dismounted and mounted patrol tactics, proficiency on a variety of weapons, as well as underwater demolitions and diving. Shayetet 13 is considered the best trained unit of the Israeli military. Their weapons include the Colt M4 carbine, the Kalashnikov 47, and the Tavor TAR-21. Moving on, coming in at number 8 is the U.S. Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Beret. The Green Beret is known to have the toughest training of all Army units, as well as the most extensive training, as all members are trained in a variety of roles because the Green Beret's goal is to enable all operators to conduct all operations. The standard weapons of the Green Beret are the Colt M4 carbine and Colt M16 rifles. The standard sidearm is the Beretta M9 and on occasion the Beretta 92FS. Training starts with an initial 2-week indoctrination course, which is basically a lot like the Navy SEALs Hell Week, only it lasts 2 weeks, followed by nearly a year of advanced special operator training. The Green Beret conduct a lot of special operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, including hunting down terrorists and other insurgents and clearing areas for conventional forces. Moving along, coming in at number 7 is Germany's GSG-9. GSG-9 isn't really a military force as much as it is a paramilitary police force. However, their training still can be compared to that of the average special forces unit, so they do qualify in this list. Training for GSG-9 officers consists of 22 weeks of Special Forces training and basic training. The weapons that they use are purely German, including the Heckler & Koch MP5 and the HK G36 and C/K variant. Coming in at number 6 is the Polish GROM. All members of GROM have to pass a psychological and truth test, as well as a basic indoctrination course. All candidates undergo sniper training, medical training, and heavy machine gun training, as well as frogman training, so that should one of the members of their team die, another one can assume their role, if necessary. GROM uses a variety of weapons, including the HK USP, the HK MP5, the Colt Canada C8 carbine, the HK G36 series of rifles, and the HK 416. Some units are also known to use a Steyr AUG. Coming in at number 5. Now, I'm sure I'm going to regret this decision, and there's going to be a lot of controversy over this, and a lot of COD kids going, rah, 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 AK-47, blah, blah. But coming in at number 5 is the Spetsnaz Alpha Group. Now, the reason why they ranked so low, because many people know them as being some really badass bitches, is because they're more of an acrobatics regiment than an actual special forces unit. I mean, like, their tactics aren't smooth. They are smooth in the sense that they can hide underneath tanks and, like, jump up 30 feet in the air, but when it comes to handling weapons and stuff like that, they aren't really as proficient as they should be. Now, their weapons include a series of Kalashnikov rifles, as well as Kalashnikov-inspired rifles, such as the Kalashnikov 47, the Kalashnikov 74, the Dragunov, which is a sniper rifle inspired by the 47, and a whole series of machine guns and pistols, all inspired by the Kalashnikov. Now their training, oh my god, their training is the most brutal of all military forces in the world by far. The Spetsnaz don't want people who are good with rifles who know what they're doing when it comes to military type activities. They want people who like to get hurt because they hurt you. In one of the pictures I've seen of them, there is a man being held up by the arms and legs by two other people with a cinder block that's lit on fire on his stomach, and a man holding a sledgehammer about to hammer that into his stomach, and that is just brutal. Like I said, they are badasses. Moving along, coming in at number 4 is the U.S. Navy Special Warfare Development Group, also known as DevGRU and SEAL Team 6. These guys have the hardest training in terms of U.S. Navy units because they have to first pass basic SEAL training before they can even apply for SEAL Team 6 or DevGRU. And something that the Navy is really famous for, especially the SEALs, is Hell Week, which is a 5 to 7 day period in which the SEALs do not sleep more than 3 hours and only get enough food and water to keep them alive while doing constant exercises and push-ups and running and swimming and stuff like that. And it's brutal. These guys really do take a lot of shit to do what they do. The weapons that they use are the M4 carbine, the HK MP5, the M9 pistol, and a variety of other smaller weapons that aren't really used as much. And DevGRU is actually known not to wear a uniform on their operations, as it would give away their something to do with national security, because the missions that they undertake are just really, really high caliber. Moving along, coming in at number 3, and this is a unit that nobody really knew existed. Well, a few people did know exist, but not really a lot of people. Canada's Joint Task Force 2. Now, this is really going to stir up a lot of controversy, as people think that Canada is just a peaceful country with no real special forces unit that can actually do anything. However, JTF-2 is actually a pretty badass unit. They are the most elite unit in Canada. Their training lasts approximately 11 to 14 months, and they're all trained as snipers, frogmen, divers, parachutists. They're the jack of all trades of the Canadian military, basically. The fact that nobody knows about them is actually one of the main reasons why they're ranked up so high, as nobody really knows that they exist, so it's a surprise when they're kicking down your front door or coming in through the back door. JTF-2 actually has a U.S. presidential citation given out by President George Bush, which is actually one of the most ignorant and obnoxious of all U.S. presidents, so that does mean something, definitely. Their primary weapons are the Colt C7 and Colt C8 rifles, the Sig Sauer P226 pistol, and the P90 personal defense weapon. They serve and train with Delta Force. They have served on Task Force K-Bar. They have been deployed to Serbia to hunt down snipers, and they also conduct reconnaissance and counterterrorism activities within Canada. JTF-2, like DevGRU, is also known not to wear a uniform on operations, as that would give out their national identity and be a threat to national security, as well as their own identities. The Canadian Forces very strict on their identities and information released about JTF-2 because they are just that secretive and badass. Coming in at number 2 is 1st Special Forces Operational Development Delta, also known as Delta Force. These guys are as good as it gets in terms of U.S. military, except for ISA Grey Fox, which is just another unit for another video. Delta Force recruits solely from the U.S. Army Special Forces / Green Beret, or the U.S. Army Rangers. They have the longest and most rigorous training of all U.S. Army forces, as well as anything in the U.S. military, really, except for ISA Grey Fox. And in order to be eligible, since you have to be in Green Beret or the Rangers, you already are some really tough soldiers, tougher than the average soldier, definitely. It really is unknown which weapons Delta Force uses, as they use a variety of weapons, and it's rumored that they don't even need to, use military issue weapons. They have a huge armory and they can choose their own weapons as well as their own uniforms and equipment. I know that the picture in the background is just a picture from Medal of Honor Warfighter. However, there really aren't any pictures of Delta Force, like, at all, and so I had to take a picture from Medal of Honor. And a lot really isn't known about Delta Force at all, really. Not even, like, nothing about their training, or it's just a rumor that they only recruit from the Green Beret. However, they could recruit from the CIA, and it's just rumored that they don't use military issue weapons. So moving along to number 1. You guys have waited a long time to hear this, so drum roll. It is the British Special Air Service. Training for the SAS is long and rigorous. There is something known as the Beacons Brecons, or the Brecons Beacons. That's really confusing to say. It's a really long hike that is approximately 80 miles or 120 kilometers, I believe, in duration, with a 80 to 90 pound rucksack in a time of 28 hours, which I don't know if you knew this or not, that is extremely difficult to accomplish. After their urban and jungle training exercises and sessions, they have to undergo something known as torture training, which is unique to the SAS, except for Spetsnaz, because the Spetsnaz itself is torture training. But torture training is basically where they teach them how to survive torture and techniques to get through it, psychologically and physically. And the weapons of the SAS is the Colt Canada C8 carbine, the Colt Canada C7 and A2 rifle, the P90 personal defense weapon, the MP5 and the MP7 produced by Heckler and Koch, and a variety of other weapons, as they are just a very versatile force capable of conducting anything, so they use a lot of different weapons. The SAS is known world over as being the first modern special forces unit and being the inspiration for every single other special forces unit. A very notable operation that they conducted was the Iranian embassy raid, which made headlines, and that just stirred public interest in the unit, as all the public saw was a bunch of black suited figures rappelling down the side of the Iranian embassy and blowing their way in and rescuing a bunch of hostages. So there you have it, folks, the world's top 10 elite special forces units. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.